I want to start off this video about burns by showing appreciation to all the firefighters out there that put their lives on the line to put out fires and save people in burning buildings. If you've ever felt the pain of a burn, then you know just how courageous it is to run into an entire building on fire. So to all those firefighters watching this, thank you for what you do and the sacrifices that you make to serve your community. Now, firefighters are all too familiar with how to treat burns, but I want to make sure that all of you out there know what to do if you or someone around you gets burned. What's up, everybody? For those that are new here, my name is Matt. I'm a paramedic, and it is my mission to help provide you with the skills and tools to potentially save a life one day. And if you want to become a part of the movement, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so that more people can be better prepared for what life throws their way. So let's talk about burns. We're going to cover the sources of burns, the severity of burns, treatment of burns, and stick around until the end because we're going to dispel 3 myths when it comes to burns that you may have been tricked into believing. Okay, so the most common type of burn is a thermal burn, and this is when the skin comes in contact with something hot like a flame or a hot item in the kitchen or boiling water. Chemical burns are when the skin or eyes come in contact with a harsh irritant, usually an acid or alkali like chlorine, ammonia, bleach, or some other strong cleaners. Electrical burns happen when the body comes in contact with an electrical current. These can be especially damaging to internal organs that the electricity passes through as it moves through your body. Finally, there are radiation burns, which sometimes happens with radiation treatment, but they are quite rare, so we won't be covering these in depth. Okay, so now let's talk about the severity of burns because this plays a huge role when it comes to treatment. The least severe burns are classified as superficial burns or first-degree burns. These account for the vast majority of burns. Superficial burns involve only the top layer of skin and cause the affected area to become red and painful with a possibility of swelling. Partial thickness burns or second-degree burns cause damage to the top layer of skin, but also parts of your upper dermis and lower dermis. The skin will become red and blisters will form that may weep clear fluid. Finally, there are full thickness burns or third-degree burns. These burns are so severe that they typically destroy all layers of the skin and can even destroy the underlying structures like muscle, bones, and nerves. All right, so let's now switch over to treatment of burns, and we're going to begin with the fundamentals, and those are stop the burn, cool the burn, cover the burn, and call 911 if necessary. Now let's start with stopping the burn. The most important thing to remember when it comes to stopping the burn is stop, drop, and roll. I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard of this, and that's for good reason. It's the most effective way of stopping a burn if your clothes have caught fire. Other ways of stopping the burn are fortunately more instinctual, like moving your hand away from a hot stove or exposed electrical wire. But one kind of burn that might not be as instinctual is chemical burns involving dry chemicals. If you've been exposed to a dry or powdered chemical that is burning you, you want to try to wipe away the majority of the chemical with a towel or brush. This is because some dry chemicals can react with water, making the burn even more severe. All right, after stopping the burn, we're going to move on to cooling the burn. The most effective way of doing this is large amounts of cold running water for at least 10 minutes and up to 20 minutes if possible. This might seem like an unnecessary amount of time, but studies have shown that running cool water over the burn for up to 20 minutes not only helps with the healing process, but also decreases the amount of pain experienced in the long run. During the cooling process, you're gonna wanna remove any clothing or jewelry in case the skin starts to swell. So once the burn is cooled, you're gonna wanna cover the burn with a sterile dressing. This may not be necessary for minor superficial burns, but you definitely wanna do this if the skin will be exposed to the sun, because adding sunburn to an existing burn will not help the healing process. process. For superficial burns, any type of sterile dressing will do, but for partial thickness and full thickness burns, you're gonna wanna use some kind of burn gel or non-stick sterile dressing, because if it's not some form of non-stick dressing, it has the potential to stick to the skin, causing more complications with the healing process. All right, so we've covered stopping the burn, cooling the burn, covering the burn. Now let's talk about calling 911 or seeking medical care. Let's start with an easy one. If you've suffered a full thickness or 3rd-degree burn, always call 911. When it comes to partial thickness burns, a general rule of thumb is if the burn is larger than 3 inches in diameter or involves the face, head, hands, feet, or a major joint area, you're gonna wanna seek immediate medical care. It's up to you if you wanna call 911, but if you're able to safely drive yourself or get a ride to the hospital, this is okay too, as long as you're not experiencing any life threats. And finally, superficial burns can typically be treated at home and allowed to heal on their own. But if you are concerned that you won't be able to properly treat the burn on your own, you can go to urgent care. All right, I promised to dispel some myths surrounding burns, so let's quickly go over those. Myth number 1, using ice to cool the burn. While this may relieve some momentary pain, this can actually do more harm than good by doing further damage to the skin. Myth number 2, using butter or honey on a burn. Do not do this. This opens the door to infection, which is the last thing that you want. And myth number 3, popping a blister helps it heal. This one might be a challenge for all you pimple poppers out there, but similar to using honey or butter, popping blisters increases the chance of infection, so you want to leave them be and let them heal on their own. That does it for the topic of burns today, and as always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button over here so you don't miss any more life-saving advice in the future. And go ahead and check out one of these hand-picked videos on your screen. Take care.